Listen, you've known for a while at West Ham, there's got to be life after Declan. So embark on it. So he's got 100 million burning a hole in his pocket and he's trying to spend it, Sullivan. Is he going in the right direction with Harry Maguire?
Yes, I think it's a good signing. Potentially, he'll be the captain. That might have been part of the negotiations of what's going on. Obviously, you've got Ward-Prowse coming as well, another potential captain.
Would he be your captain, Maguire?
I think he would be. I like centre-halves that are captains. He's English as well. He's got everything in front of him. He's a good player, Jim. You know, you watched him in a World Cup. He's a good player. He's had unfair publicity. Of course, he's had a bad time at Man United, but that can happen. You could be really good at one club, go to another club, doesn't quite work out, come to West Ham, he could be an absolute hero. He's got songs about him, etc. The fans will love him. You know, my only question is another centre-half what West Ham need? I think West Ham need a goal scorer and they need a goalkeeper. That's two of the positions that I'd be looking at. Fabianski's good. He's 38 years of age. Areola, I'm not sure he's ever going to be a number one. He's more a number two. So West Ham need a goalkeeper. And the centre-forward fiasco is, you know... The current owners have been at the club since 2010. They've signed 51 forwards.
Is that right?
51 forwards in 13 years. And the best has been Andy Carroll. You put Jarrod Bowen in there, who's not really a centre-forward. Carlton Cole. But out of the 51, there's not been too many successes, Jim. And, you know, West Ham need a goal scorer. You know, not just West Ham, but
Where's
any
Frank
club.
McElhenney when you need him?
Well, exactly, yeah. I mean, you imagine Frank McElhenney now.
You imagine him now?
I know. But whether he'd survive earning 150 grand a week. And now you imagine him, Frank was asked, well, you know, if you got 150 grand a week, what would you be? He said, I'd be dead. But,
I don't think he's wrong.
Yeah, but West Ham need a goal scorer. You know, if you want to push on, if you want to, you know, they've had some good seasons, a little dip last year with the Premier League, but before that, 6th and 7th. If you want to seriously try and get into the Champions League, you need someone to score 20 league goals a season. Last person to do that, unfortunately, Jim, was me. 1987. That was the last time any West Ham player scored top flight 20 goals.
Right.
Which is 36 years. I'm very proud of that, but it's no good for West Ham. That's got to change.
Of course. Were they right to show the door to Scamacca? He's gone back. He's in Italy now.
Yeah, we never... A bit like Haller. I mean, everyone, you know... Yeah. Haller arrived. He was there for a year or so. He leaves and he goes and scores goals in the Champions League, you know, for Ajax and Dortmund, etc. And the same will probably happen to Scamacca. Listen, he's a good player. He's in the Italian squad. He's in the Italian team as well. He's not a mug, but he's either been injured or when he's played, they haven't played to his strengths, and a bit like the Haller scenario. Sure. So it's a two-way thing as a forward. You're very dependent on service, but you've also got to give a little bit more if it ain't going for you.
So Sullivan's probably pulling his hair out this morning, Tony, because all this talk, Maguire not done yet, but it should be. James Ward-Prowse probably tomorrow. Alvarez in the door. Yep. He's got work to do yet, though. Mikel Antonio, I hear this morning, being tickled by the Saudis. Yep. They're very keen on him.
Why wouldn't he be with the money on him?
And I think he'd be keen to go as well.
He's 33 now, isn't he? So
of course.
And been a great signing for the club, by the way, but the money talks, Jim.
And then the news they didn't need, Paqueta wanted by Manchester City, and the boy's head is turned, and we hear that he wants to go there. So if you're Sullivan, you have a heck of a lot to do with the people that you're working with at the moment, but get it done.
Yeah. Well, see, my argument and my disappointment with it all is the moment West Ham lost to Frankfurt, not last season, the year before, Jim, when they was in the Europa League semi-final, they lost to Frankfurt. Yeah. They would have played your team, Rangers, in the final. Okay. But the moment they lost to Frankfurt, Declan was leaving. Because if they'd have won the game, you'd get in the final. If West Ham beat Rangers, you're in the Champions League, obviously. You know,
so they've known for a while.
Yeah. So they've known since, and that's what, 15 months ago. So, all right, people then say, well, you've got to wait for the 100 million to come. No, you don't. Just borrow against it. You know you've got a £100 million asset. Borrow against it. Go and get 2 or 3 players. Get them into the club early. Get them integrated into the dressing room. Right. Because players like Harry are going to arrive. James Ward-Prowse, yes, they're good players. But, you know, how much training have they been doing? How many games have they played for their club? You know, and you've got to fit into a dressing room. It's not as easy as saying, he's a great player, go and buy him. There's so much more that comes into it. Alvarez is coming from another country. Does he speak English? I don't think he's fit. You know, it's not like they're going to get chucked in against Bournemouth on Saturday and hit the ground running.
Yeah.
Because of the delays.
And it's a tough start as well. You look at West Ham's fixtures. Okay,
potentially,
Bournemouth,
Alex. Yeah, they could go either way.
They would fancy an opportunity to win there, but they've got some of the big guns early on.
Chelsea at home. Then they go Brighton away. Yeah. You know, we'll never get anything there. Luton's first home game in the Premier League is against West Ham.
Are you one of
those?
Then
Liverpool, Man City.
I mean, you're a former great striker for West Ham. You're a self-declared fan, and I know that you are. Are you one of those fans that's pessimistic about Moyes? If so, why?
I'm not pessimistic. I've always been very, very supportive of David Moyes. I think they must have had the chat. Surely after that final, they must have had the chat, the manager and the chairman. Is this the right thing to continue? And if the answer is yes, which it obviously was because he stayed at the football club, first question is, why has David Moyes only got a 1-year contract? If you're trying to sign Maguire or Ward-Prowse or whoever on a 3 or 4 year contract and the manager's only got 1 year contract, how does that work? Because that's crazy to me. And secondly, they brought in the guy Tim Steidten, I think his name. I don't know the guy, but what he's been good at is getting young players on continental Europe to go to football clubs and that. That is not what David Moyes wants. So, and then all of a sudden there's a problem and there's a cloud around the training ground. Well, of course there is, because you've appointed someone who's going completely against what David Moyes is trying to do.
Yeah, but Tony, half the people that surround you on a match day trying to get your signature also oppose Moyes carrying on. They're not having David. Why are they not?
I don't know. Well, I know I don't want to be too critical of him, but I think it's the style of football. Don't forget, West Ham fans have been brought up on a certain style of football, as have Tottenham fans. There's always been that thing, academy of football and that. They want the youngsters to come through. They've just won the Youth Cup.
Won a trophy.
They've just won the Youth Cup.
Trophy.
They've got Mubama might be the answer up front. I don't know, but give him a try.
Right.
Unless he plays. How do you know how good he is? I was 17 when John Lowell played me. But you've got to give these players a chance, Jim.
You were 17.
And if it doesn't work, you take them out and then you put them back in. But you've got to give him a chance. But, I get it with David Moyes. It's the style of football. You could argue sometimes about the substitutions. Is he proactive? Does he take players on and off at the right time? And I understand all that. But he's just won the club their first trophy in 43 years. He deserves the opportunity to put it right. Yeah. But don't then put a load of obstacles in front of him, like a new director of football and things like that. That's not helping.
Doesn't it just create uncertainty, though? Because there was a lot of talk, and I think if they'd not won that European trophy, David Moyes would have gone at the end of the season. Agree, But he's still only got a year on his contract, so they've not come out West Ham and said, thanks for the trophy, here's a new deal, we're committed to you for the long term. 1 year contracts are easy enough to pay up, and I just think that weakens Moyes' position with the fan base, maybe even in the dressing room, heading into the start of a new season.
Absolutely, Alex. And you could argue, all right, in the meantime, have a look at some really young coaches. I mean, Michael Carrick, for me, stands out by a million miles. Done a great job at Borough, former West Ham player, done his trade at Man United, learning the game. That's potentially someone to come in and take over at West Ham.
Maybe one day. But West Ham go into the season with Moyes. What constitutes success for West Ham this season?
Win the Europa League and finish mid-table. I can't see anything other than that, Jim.
Back-to-back European trophies.
Yeah, why not? Why can't they? Of course,
I agree with you.
Of course, Liverpool are in there and Brighton are in there. And that would be the two that I would fear the most. I'm only saying Brighton because they're our bogey team. But, you look
win it.
Yeah, West Ham should have won it. When they lost to Frankfurt, they should have won it that year, and they didn't. So this season, I think a mid-table finish, don't be in relegation trouble. Alex has already said the first few games are difficult.
Right.
Get off to a good start, mid-table, concentrate on the Europa League.
I'm loving that.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.